So today was my last session of junior achievement at Northern Elementary with Miss Misik's class, and it's actually Miss Misik and Mr. White. They have a combined class, so it's, like 34 kids, so it's a pretty big group. But I've talked about it a little bit before, but it's junior achievement, so it's basically where you volunteer to go into a school, and you do 5 sessions. The session that I do is 3rd grade. It's called Our City, which is cool for a realtor. I know we talked before, but some of the sessions we've done the zoning and business zones, residential zones. We talked about managing finances and managing government, so income and taxes and government and management. Well, today we actually talked about being an entrepreneur, and we talked about providing a good or a service and what the difference is. And these kids have covered some really great topics, to be so young. And I told them that at the beginning. I pulled out all the vocabulary we've gone over the last 4 sessions and said, guys, these are some big words. These are some really big topics, and there are adults that don't understand these topics. We've talked about savings and interest and budgeting. And so I just, the first thing I did when I walked in is I congratulated them on all the important things that they've learned and covered, and that they've done a great job. So today we focused on what an entrepreneur is, and what it means to provide a good or a service, and what it means to be either a producer or a consumer. I veer from the material a little bit. It's kind of common. Like the day we had the zoo, and I was like, we don't do zoos. We do animal sanctuaries. But today we were supposed to be running a restaurant, and I said, okay, let's simplify it a little bit. But I brought in a whole bunch of cupcakes for the kids. I said, well, today you're going to run a bakery. So we talked about running a bakery, what's involved. Each table of kids, like each group of kids, was given a role, which is really cool for them because it kind of gets them engaged in the process. So I gave out stickers with the roles. I said, you're my manager, you're my chef, you're my accountant, and you're my marketer. And we talked about what those roles meant, what a manager does, that they manage people, that they hire, that what the accountant does, and of course this is simplified, but that the accountant is going to pay the company's bills. The chef had to decide what cupcakes they were going to bake. And the marketer decided that how they were going to advertise their cupcake bakery. So it was really cool. So I put them into groups, and cupcakes were on the line. They saw me come in with them. They knew cupcakes were on the line. So they were really cooperative. And I said, you have to work as a team. And for some of the roles, I had to say, okay, we have 2 chefs. We have 2 accountants. Some of the tables of kids, they have a few kids, So on some teams, we had 2 accountants or 2 chefs or 2 advertising people. So I said, you have to come up with the way that you're going to help your team, you're going to help your business. So managers, tell me what people you're going to hire. Accountants, tell me what bills you're going to pay. Chefs, what kind of cupcakes are you making? So it was just a really good opportunity for each child to have a role, and sometimes to work as a team, and also to speak in front of the class. And some of them would start off and they start with their voice real low, and I'm like, hey, you gotta be loud. You gotta tell the room. You gotta tell the group. So there was a lot of chocolate cupcakes. Had some really interesting answers. The chefs, we had a guinea pig shaped cupcake, not a guinea pig cupcake, a guinea pig shaped cupcake. We had a unicorn cupcake, not made of unicorn. That'd be tragic. But unicorn colored cupcake. Some kids went all chocolate chip, chocolate icing, just very focused. They have a niche. They have a specific market they want to attack. But it was really fun for me to call on one chef and be like, what cupcake is your group doing? And then call on the other, what cupcake are you doing? The accountants, when they had to pay the bills, I'm like, what are your bills? And, they got to pay the water company because they've got dishes to do. They're going to dirty up a lot of dishes. They had to keep the electricity on. How are they going to run their oven? It was really fun to get some of their answers. One of the kids talked about how they got to pay taxes. I didn't even bring up leases and rent or whether they own the building or any of that. But they had some really good answers about the expenses in running their bakery. The managers, I was like, who'd you hire? And the manager was like, well, my chef, of course, I got to hire my chef. Or, we need an accountant. It was really fun to see them mentally start to go through the steps of who the roles are in their business and what their responsibilities are. The other thing we talked about is marketing. So, some of these kids were like, well, I'm going to hand out flyers. One kid's like, I'm going to go out and tell people. I'm like, that's word of mouth. That's great. You can go do networking. You can go to groups of people. Another group said they were going to hand out samples. Who doesn't love samples? Samples of cupcakes? Like, I'm in on that. They just had some really, really great ideas. The kids really did amazing throughout. This is the 5th session. So this session, I got to see them really implement a lot of the things we've talked about and bring that forward. Like when one of the kids said taxes, and we talked about taxes, and we talked about budgeting and bills, and they're talking about their expenses. So overall, it was really great. I got a picture with the whole class, which is massive, and they're all basically my height, at the end. And then I got to leave on a really positive note, and I left a whole slew of cupcakes. So poor Miss Misik and Mr. White, they're going to have fun with that today. But it was a whole lot of fun. It was such a small commitment of my time. It's been an hour a week, and I work out with the teacher what day works. So really, 5 hours of my time, and maybe, a little bit more planning. So maybe 10 hours of my time over a 5-week period. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to put the contact information for the junior achievement gal that actually gets me set up. But I would just really encourage everyone who wants to participate. It's such a small commitment, and whether you have a relationship with a teacher or people you've worked with, or you want to go into your kid's school, there's really a need for this, and it gives the kids something different than what they're used to, and it gives them a real life application, which is really cool. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun, actually. It's more fun when you can bribe them with cupcakes, of course. But I'll post the information about how to get in touch with Junior Achievement when I get done, and just encourage everybody to, whether you do Junior Achievement or do some kind of activity in your community, to get out and get involved and give back. Thanks, guys.